Now with 6 locations across the St. Louis area, Kind Goods makes it easier than ever to shop locally for quality cannabis. This locally owned deli-style dispensary offers premium flower, personalized service, and one of the largest deli-style selections in Missouri. Visit Kind Goods in Fenton, Manchester, St. Peter's, Soulard, On the Hill, or in Maryland Heights. Same standards, same care, now with more locations near you. Learn more or find your closest store at thekindgoods.com.
The level of enthusiasm and good vibes that just excrete from the pores of this man.
Oh man, man, you know, like I love life, you know, and like I love people, and you know, like people are the most fascinating things to me, like, and it's just one of these things where it's like I feel like one of the luckiest dudes on the planet, like, and so there's really not a reason to sit and listen to me complain or whine or express anxiety. Like, I don't really have what I look around in the world and see, and it's like, man, there's a lot of rough edges, right? And so it's like I feel really responsible for trying to be, you know, like expressing gratitude and giving everyone else capacity, because like everything I'm getting, like, and it's all sides, man. I won the lotto, like with a wife and kids, like just the best marriage I could have ever asked for, and just 2 of the best kids you could. I mean, like, I can brag about so much stuff with them. They're cool as shit. I don't know how that happened. I got kicked out of 6 high schools, so it's like, but then I've had a lot of like really wonderful people I get to work with in business, and I've got to ride along on a lot of success, watching really smart people solve really rad problems, and you know, like I wish I could like tell some of those stories like, oh, it was me, I did it, but so often I'm like, just I just have built enough trust with the person that really matters that they're inviting me in to support them, or you know, help in some way, or partner with them, and so like from that perspective, I've gotten all these, you know, opportunities to learn from really cool people and then help solve those problems with other people.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like in this like, oh man, if I'm sitting around and complaining, that's really mean. Like, that's not being very empathetic at all. Like, it's like, you know, I think it's my job to listen and give grace. So, yeah.
Fuck, man.
I don't think there's a better way for us to introduce Peter Seay of Curador than by just including that. So welcome to Greenway Audio Magazine.
Holy cow.
I'm B.E. Dunn. This is my hetero life mate, Tim Pickett, right here. And with us today, CEO of Curador, the head of Head Change, the safety in your safe bet, Peter Seay.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Peter, thank you so much for joining us. Holy cow.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, man. We're a small team and we keep our heads down a lot. And so I apologize, you know, like, I couldn't get around and sit down with you guys sooner. You guys are rad. What you're doing for the state of Missouri is really cool. I love the spotlights that you put on folks, because there's like, Missouri's like cannabis industry is full of so many like talented and smart and really passionate people. And it's kind of easy to like look at anything and just see the stuff you'd like to change. But like, if you like really looking at this mosaic, you know, you're going to find all these really cool folks, and you guys have been doing that. And a lot of your conversations have really opened that up and shown off how rad some of the people are that are making the machine work, right? Like, and it's you know, the cannabis industry is so complex. The problems are so unique, and they're so volatile, and you know, like, the dynamics are intense. You sometimes feel like you have like this real-time regulation where it's just like this business plan works today. And then you get a letter from the state and you're like, oh, okay, well, there goes, 7% of our revenue. Oh, geez. Watching everyone be tactical and strategic and reactionary, and knowing the stakes that a lot of these folks are feeling, which is the hardest thing, I think, for a lot of people to see, is that, you have, like, for a lot of folks, like $100,000 is a crazy life-changing amount of money, right? And so, like, when you hear numbers like, $10 million or $20 million being spent to build a cultivation facility, like, I know what I do. It's like, oh man, like, who's got the money for that? Who's ever gonna, and if you're like this passionate individual who wants to like break into cannabis, maybe take like, the 6 light grow you've been running and scale it up and finally and reach the customers with the quality you're trying to build. And I love that passion, but you can look at those like barriers to entry, and it's like, there's almost nothing in between. In most cases, like sometimes there's like micro licenses and other sorts of mechanisms. I think a lot of people ran off into hemp, utilizing hemp as a ladder, but like to get to those like cost barriers, it almost inevitably involves an impossible task for most people's like network and the available capital, right? Like most people do not have somebody they can call or have the money themselves to put $20 million on the table to start one of these grows, right? And then you look at like what people have to do to capitalize for that. Even like people who are really well off, like people who have a 7-digit net worth and stuff like that, there's still 20 million is a massive amount of money. And you put into all the necessities, and I think, for people in finance, none of this is opaque. This is all obvious stuff. But like, if I'm just smoking joints and, running my little 6 light grow and maybe I work as like an accountant or a mechanic or a plumber, whatever it is, like, that elongation to that individual, that network, and that is extremely opaque. Most people don't understand how companies are financed and built and capitalized to actually move into the market. And it's a lot of relationships and it's a lot of trust. And so, and people will, like, you can kind of put yourself in the shoes of like, for a lot of folks, they go find their highest net worth person that can actually say yes to this, which in a lot of American definitions is also going to maybe be the most important, most powerful relationship you have. And you're going to ask for this much trust, knowing that if you screw this up, you might screw up your access to the only thing that can, but this is your chance, right? So a lot of these have kind of a version of that. And then you can just see that like playing with a $20 million bet on a table is going to create all kinds of mental dynamics, all kinds of stressors. And it should create a reason to build a team, right? Like it should create a reason to build a team, take everything very seriously and get the problem solved. But then you have all the market, and then you don't get to control that. You just get to work in it and as intelligently as you can, and hope that by doing good by a customer, this the end point and sometimes a long chain, that you earn the right to do more business. But there's lots of market dynamics where that doesn't get to be true, and that can be heartbreaking and just a reality. But it's the overarching world we live in. So I look around at it with like massive empathy, because I like you start to meet these people and become personal with them. You're like, you hear exactly the situation they're in and the pressures they're under. And I don't think I meet anybody in cannabis. And I mean like billionaires that are, deployed across multiple states, and, nobody's like just chilling on it. Meet the guy that's just like, oh yeah, mailbox money. Yeah, I'm good. I don't have to pick up the phone over here. I don't meet that person in the circles I run in, but like I mostly meet people who are like far more down to earth than most other business sectors I've come from, and far more like in the problem solving mix than most of their executive teams that, sometimes create a lot of like the mezzo bureaucracy to keep them from pulling into the weeds. But it's often the weeds in cannabis that are like the biggest problem, like challenges. Like, isn't that a fun metaphor? I don't know. Blah 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 blah. I am I'm really into just respecting the folks that are in the space, and I actually really cherish some of the influence I've gotten from our third party partners and even our competition. I love when competition forces us to do better, and I like competing. Our whole team
absolutely
does, but like all things in balance. We also have to keep our arms open and make sure that we're hugging, shaking hands at the end of the game, not making enemies, just building each other up and making each other work harder. And that's the best part of that. I don't know, blah, 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 blah. I'll go on and on.
Yeah. And that's why, no, Peter, that's why we need people like you in this industry. I mean, you've been here forever. You've been on MoCan as an advisor. I mean, forever. And let me just tell you, one of the first things that really drew me to you outside of like your, massive brain and your big personality and just your constant positivity. I don't know, Brandon, if you've ever read his bio on MoCan's advisory board website, it's
I stand by it.
Everyone else is like talking about their like accolades and all the awards they've won and, the MBAs and everything. Let me just read you the first few lines of it. Peter likes family, cannabis, Missouri, skateboarding, art, plant breeding, sewing, travel, cars, empathy, double-decker buses, creative people, spoon collections, visits to the park, and it just goes on and on and on. And that's his bio. Brilliant.
Hey, well, man, I don't have those accolades.
The best part of that, the best part of that to me is that reads the same way as meeting Peter. Like the first time I met him, like the first encounter I ever had with him was me seeing him from across the room with a captain's hat. And I came over and I was like, hey, I'm Brandon. It's nice to meet you. You have a great beard. I love your company. And he goes, thank you. And literally just hugged me. And like, that was my first interaction with him. And I was like, okay, this is my people. There's a million different things that I could go down, and I could sit there and wax poetic about how much I appreciate you and your company and all of those different things. But there are two things that are glaring to me always when someone says your name. Number one is the way that you and in my opinion, via trickle down effect, the entire culture of your company cares about the end user, the consumer, and their experience and the way that they view both your product and your reputation, not as much as it does do great service for marketing and things like that. It seems like you guys are truly concerned with the experience rather than just making someone remember your name, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of gimmicks in what you do, unless the gimmick is just do the best job possible at all times. And the way that you constantly defer and deflect any recognition from yourself, almost like Wonder Woman with the bracelets. Everybody's like, oh, Peter's, really talented. He's really smart. He's done great things with Curador. And you're like, ba-ding, ba-ding. It's this member of the team. It's that guy. It's that lady over there. Anybody but me. These people. Very important. It's all part of the process. And I understand why you do that, but we've talked to a lot of people in this space, and while I love and respect everyone that we've talked to, there's not many people that go out of their way to say, let's talk about the person in packaging that was working over the weekend, because I was not. And that's the shit that I've always gotten from you, and that's the stuff that resonates the most with me. is you just constantly find ways to platform others. And that's what I love about the cannabis industry. And that's why I love the cannabis industry, is because it includes people like you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk about Peter.
Yeah, you don't even have to respond, Peter. We can just keep going.
The cannabis industry is all about growth, and if growth is on your radar, MJ Unpacked should be too. It was just named one of the fastest 50 growing trade shows in the U.S. by Trade Show Executive. It's back in Atlantic City for 3 high-impact days built for licensed cannabis operators. Step into expert-led sessions, build real partnerships in the experience hall, then keep the momentum going. First at the official after party with brand activations, and again at the MJU Cup Awards, celebrating New Jersey's top shelf brands. This is where operators, capital, and opportunity converge, and where deals get done. Register and save 20% off your pass with code Greenway20 at mjunpacked.com.
You guys are really cool. You guys are really cool. I'll tell you, like, if you hang out with me, you'll realize I'm kind of just this fumbling idiot, and I don't know how I can see it differently, because I'm sitting in the body all the time, and I'm just like, and you'll see also that, like, I kind of fall ass backwards into, like, these really great relationships, and that it's really those people, like, I would love to take credit. Like, trust me, like, my ego is like, yeah, man, like, wouldn't it be cool? But it's like, and to give some grace to, like, some of the other folks that you might be talking to, like, I'll brag about some people on this call. I'm not, like, much of a shit talker, but, like, I'm pretty good at telling, I think, kind of my perception of folks from a good side. And like for instance, like a John Pennington. Like, John Pennington over at Proper is full of so much love, and, like, cares so much about his family, about so many things. But, like, he has to run an operation, and has been running an operation. And now, I mean, now that they're built up into Vireo, like, I mean, man, it's massive now. And whereas I got this tiny little team, and so, like, I know John's the kind of guy who would tell you anything that I would say about how his team is ripping. But, like, like, how much, like, can you see into, a system that big? You have to kind of touch it at times. And you have a lot of meta that I'm not distracted by. You're running essentially 3 entirely different companies, right? Like a retail division, a manufacturing company, an agricultural business. Like, I mean, I don't think people understand how insane that is. and how, like, caught up you can get so when I, like, talk to other vertical CEOs, like, all respect. Like, the diversity of problems they're having to try to solve is, like, the elasticity of their scope is where you're seeing all that. And, like, I'm, like, relieved of that. I get the luxury of just being able to witness a lot. So within the team, at levels that people aren't used to hearing the CEO narrative about, but that's just that condition that's creating that, but I know, like, there's guys like Kyle Lenzen, like, man, I could probably just list to you every Tom and Kevin, like, there's so many cool people at the executive level,
I know,
that genuinely care a lot about their people, and like, have demonstrated it in ways that, like, aren't like performative, right? Like, and that I got to witness, because this is a small industry and we all have to work closely together. Dude, like, Mark Hendren and Daryl, like, those guys are so cool. Like, oh man, shout out Matt and Mary Kate. They just had that new baby. I'm that baby's.
She was also
point.
executive of the year. She won executive of the year in Greenway Best of the Industry. So shout out Mary Kate Black.
Yeah,
dude, Mary Kate is a killer, bro. Like,
like if you look at what that woman does, it is insane. And like from a strategic standpoint, and listen to her chops. Like, she's not like green, bro. Like, she's done rad shit like all the way along. Mappin's resume, bro. It's like, that guy is so cool. That guy is so smart. So when you say, oh, smart, like, I'm sitting in my head thinking, like, bro, talk to Mathin for 10 minutes about anything, any subject you think, any subject. And I mean, like, and that guy either has something magical to say about it, or like within that 10 minutes will learn enough from you to have something really profound to say about it. And it's just like, I get on the phone with Mathin, and it's like 10% business, and then I'm just like listening to him. Dude, this guy's so cool. But like, I don't have, there's just not a lot of people where I'm like, most of the time I'm trying to make sure, like, if I see somebody like kind of like, bending, you just want to give them grace. They're probably bending for reasons that you can't see. And who knows? You probably look at the causality chain in any behavior, and you might be like, oh yeah, I'm in the same spot. I don't want to have somebody be like, look at you mess up, and hold me to it forever. Like, it's way cooler just to look around at some of these folks and like, man, dude, there's teams that like you don't get to see some of the coolest people, like Ian over at Elevate. Dude, that guy's so heady. Like, that guy's so cool. Like Alex P over at True Level, like I know, we had Jane, like Mo from fucking Believe. Like, every fucking CEO in this state would stab a bus of nuns to get that woman on their team. Like that, like, and then you've got, I don't know. I mean, the list goes on. I don't know if you guys have met Wendy from Curio, but man, talk about an ace of a human. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, Brittany is the shit, dude.
She's amazing.
Dude, I had one of the most like beautifully human conversations of this year with her at MoCan. And like MoCan Jeff City, like that's a different MoCan, right? Like when we go, the March MoCan is, like, man, I really wanted like next year just be like, man, like make it a cash bar instead of an open one. But but like in the middle of kind of a like a lot of like very direct and businessy conversations, we had a moment to just actually talk as humans. And and it was really, really important for me because like she's a really profound thinker and sensitive. And I like you get little pockets to witness that kind of stuff with people, right? Like a lot of people are like, they got their cool on, they're like walking around, everybody's like, I'm trying to be the guy that you think I am, or like the one I want you to think I am, or whatever, like that, all that stuff, and I don't know how to do that very well. So I'm just like, okay, who here is like looking around like they're having like an honest moment, but then like there's so many, so and there's a lot of fun people, so it's like it's not like it's a bad time ever, but man, I really man, like Boston and Montana over at Vivid.
Oh
gosh, if you are not envious of Boston's like that team's whole outcomes, like, God, man, I am like, I'm like so proud to be his friend. Like, I'm just like, like him and his brother, and they're heady as shit. They're totally down to do everything. They're like the whole fucking spectrum. And they're into cool stuff too. So it's just like, fucking Mario, the whole Nature Med team, like, dude, like they're like, I have all these like people out there that I'm just like, I'm so happy I get to witness like all the smart folks solving all the smart problems. It's like that it's like this super warm, fuzzy feeling every time I get to go out. So I love Missouri's cannabis market, but there's hard parts too. There's certainly hard parts too. We all have a lot of big challenges right now, a lot of them, right? There's a lot more pressure than ever. People are, like, we're in that 5-year window. And so when people are going out and asking for cash and raising money, many folks, and well, us included, like, we didn't even need to raise a ton of cash. We just didn't have that kind of network. But we did have some people who put a lot of trust into us, and we're working really hard to honor that trust. But I think a lot of them would have liked to have found out a way to liquidity at the 5-year mark. And a lot of these pitch decks, it was like, oh yeah, we'll build it up to this, and then we'll have this, liquidity event, whatever that looks like. And but these, many of these businesses, depending on kind of where you sit in the market, like ROIing their original investment to the investors so you can de-risk them, which is just like an honorable thing to do if you really want to maintain and hold trust. Like that gets really hard to do when you model out as well as you can, like what the market will do, and then the market's just like, yeah, good job with that. Yeah, go get a new crystal ball because that one doesn't work.
Yeah, our market dynamics have changed significantly from I mean, even going back to we've talked about this a few times, but even going back to 2018, 2019, the licensing process and the application process, the time between what you thought you were getting then when your license is awarded in late December, early January, depending on licensing type, and then fast forward 3 months to the first MoCan BizCon. Sorry, it's the second one, but the first one after licenses are awarded, and then a day or two after the end of MoCan BizCon, we have a Greenway mixer after the mandatory meeting for everybody in the state to come into Jeff City and all the license holders to come in and have their meeting with, at the time, SMMR. And then 2 days after that, the state shuts down because the nation shut down for COVID. And that's the beginning of go fuck yourself territory on whatever you planned before. Everything from that point forward no longer matches up to what your plans were whenever you wrote that application. And we've had that happen, maybe not the same scale of a global pandemic, but as Missouri operators, we've had that same reset button happen a few different times because of different dynamics, whether it was recalls or scales of administrative holds, or whether it was the market dynamics after adult use and the change of the displacement of retail and the number of licenses that became consolidated, and the way that's affected market dynamics and shelf space and reciprocity. And that's one of the things that you and I have talked about before is you guys are kind of a glowing beacon that stands alone as not unaffected, but not as severely impacted by reciprocity as some of the other businesses in the state. But that doesn't mean that it hasn't had its own logistical changes for you guys, even despite your success. And that's always one of my favorite things to hear you talk about, is the way that we've talked a lot already about problem solving, but the way that you guys go about problem solving and the way that you guys analyze data to find, like I said before, those little niches, those little places where if you're spackling over the countertop, you may miss a groove here and there. It seems like you guys are able to say, everybody else missed this is now our groove, we own it. And you maximize on those opportunities, it seems like.
This is going to be one of those points where I'm going to be like, thanks for the compliment, here's where it belongs. And I've got a really great team. And I've got a team member, this guy Corey Owens. He's one of our founding members. His background goes through all kinds of really rad spaces, but has left him with like a set of competencies around both organizing, compiling data, and actually building really smart information from data. And then I have my CFO and another partner, Jorge. He is like, these are the guys that you don't see that make me look smart, like, uh and the two of them work really hard to look at both market data and the internal data, and to kind of come up with the best understandings we can to help make the best decision we can. Now, like, and then when you get to sit in the driver's seat, you also see the things that you like ended up betting on that weren't so intentional but worked out really well, right? And then like you could look like you're like this savant, but in all actuality, you just stumbled into like a really good situation. And then there's other situations that like, you probably can't see, where like we get it wrong. Like, we look and we make the best understandings from what we have, but either there's a missing piece of the data, or there's an inference or something that we have to make in order to complete the picture, and we get it wrong. And I get it wrong a lot. And it's hard, like, backing into kind of what you were talking about. I wish, like, the dynamics in the market are often like talked about kind of in like this way that kind of focuses a predisposition for thinking of like power as something to shake the fist at, like this David and Goliath kind of attitude, where it's like big is bad. And I get that. Because like in a lot of cases, it is. It usually just means that like once you like cover a certain area, you have to work, like the customers kind of all are corralled at that point. And then you are not, as a, business or a service, necessarily hinged to the same sort of free market dynamics that would force you to work on your product or your service and really improve it. Instead, you can kind of sit back and do mediocre and still pull in the cash. And there's lots of big business types where, us as American consumers or world consumers see the problems in that, like as an endpoint, and are frustrated by it. Like monopolizing anything is not good for the end, like it's good for usually like one or two people, but like everyone else is kind of stuck with mediocrity. And you can look at that like at the government level too. You can, in history, you can kind of go through like European history, and you can see all the sort of the ways that like when you like centralize power and you really make like that you is like the progress stops developing, right? Like you remove competition, you have no reason to progress. And so I get that understanding too. But I also have like a different framework to sometimes look at markets under. And it's like, here I am, I'm in Queenie Park right now. And I just finished my morning walk, and I usually kind of walk in the north side of the park where it's all forested. And like St. Louis is like this eastern forest biome. It's more or less the same bio from the Rockies all the way to the East Coast, but we got to burning it down a lot and cutting all the trees a lot, and now we've got prairie land and all this other stuff. But like, if we just let all of this go, it would just turn back into this like deciduous forest. And in this forest, you'd have like these white oaks and trees that are like substantial hardwood, very large. And then you've got like the maples and the softer, kind of faster growing stuff in and around them. And you've got that strata at the top. And then under that strata, you've got like the dogwoods and these other trees that are kind of, like 15 feet or so, but require the shade in order to thrive. And then you've got the forest floor, and you've got all the flowers and small shrubs and whatever. And right now there's like this early bloom. I can't remember the name of the flower, but I think a nickname for them is like Irishman's shorts or Irishman's breeches or something. And it looks like a little like line of like little boxer shorts, little white boxer shorts. They're part of the same family as bleeding hearts. But they're all out and carpeting the floor right now. Um, and when I walk through there, it's not like I'm sitting there going like, yes, I love and appreciate this tiny little flower on the floor in the forest. But I'm not sitting there going like, I wish all these big trees weren't here, soaking up all the light and destroying the chance for this little flower to turn into a white oak, And that's not the way that ecosystem works, right? Like that little flower only can exist because it has the protection of the whole canopy. And the whole canopy is girded by these massive trees like these white oaks and you have to have them to kind of create stability amongst the branches, so that when we get these crazy storms through, it all stays in place, and the protection exists, and the dogwood can thrive, and it can flower, and the sassafras trees, and all the beautiful parts of the biome can all exist and thrive. But they also kind of have a role and a place. And yes, like I think as most of us, we love little small business, personal, unique, special experiences. And but like just the way the economics and the dynamics in the market work, like affordability matters to the consumer. And until we change a lot of things, and maybe we don't need to, but maybe we should. Like that's the ecosystem that's grown around like the regulatory markets that we built as a government. So I tend to look at big businesses and kind of bring it back to consolidation. I don't look at them as like this thing to shake my fist at and be mad at. It's another system for me to interact with. And it might be a really stable system to interact with, where like some of the smaller systems have volatility that might make it hard to make that bet singularly. And so like just like all investment, theses, like you want to diversify and you want to have the complete ecosystem, the meso layers, and the way we look at the market, and I'm sorry to mix metaphors here, is like, we kind of think of ourselves as Switzerland. There's nobody out there that like I'm just gonna go hate, like even if you really mess up, and we've had a couple of groups really mess up, but it's a business, like people change, like that guy who decided to make the really bad decision that messed it up, he might go away. And you might need to be ready to forgive them, because they might be the best partner to work with in some capacity. And so we try to show up and help people make money. That's our only job. And it's easier for us to do as a MIP, because we're not competing, to access to the consumer. We're just trying to help provide more of it, and hope that our products bring a unique consumer in, and that we're giving them an experience that they need to be that is unique enough. The promise is delivered. And I so like that's an atmosphere of thinking, right? Like there's different strategies to run into the Missouri market with, and many of them great. But that's the one that's working right now for us. And I can't even sit here and be like, oh yeah, in 2 weeks we got to keep that going. Like who knows what? Because these little regulatory things is like changing the weather on the forest, right? It's like like you can all of a sudden make it entirely impossible for certain plants to grow just by moving regulation around. Again, I'm moving around in these metaphors. I think it's probably not the move, but but nonetheless, like it helps relieve me of like some of the emotional wear that can stop engagement and prevent the business from reaching its opportunity, because its real opportunity is to provide consumers with great experiences. That's what we care about doing, because it's not hard for us to imagine them. Like we are them. Like I smoke a ton of hash. Like it's good. Like I love it. Like I really want to have great hash experiences. So many people on our team do. Like I use all of our products a lot. We did this little Instagram thing making fun of the I didn't end up putting my face in. I like our team a lot, and I want I want them to be seen and celebrated. But when the McDonald's guy took a little bite, he's like, I'm gonna eat this later. And it's like, man, dude, I don't know if I could put down one of our pucks and not just be like, I'll like later. Like that thing's hot right now. Like get it. Like, don't you love it?
I thought you were gonna talk. I love that. I thought you were gonna talk about the new ad campaign that you guys just started, that parodies the like 80s and 90s like law firm commercials.
Oh, Eddie LeBrock.
That is my favorite thing.
That's Jeremy Flake. He's our chief operating officer, the lawyer. Dude, that guy he's such a prize, man. He shares my office with me, but he's all in operations, right? Like he's your chief operating officer. Like you're not going to see him at a MoCan. You're not going to see him, kind of out at dinners and stuff like that. And so it just feels like and he's the funniest person in our entire, like he's very, he's a serious guy and stoic and focused, but like just these little serifs of like some of the best punchlines. and it was just a treat to be able to get him to get into that campaign. That was really funny. There's a dude on our packaging team. He's one of our packaging experts. His name's Grant. And I've known him for years. He used to deliver pizzas with the guy at Emo's a billion years ago. This is a dear friend, but they were doing like the what's the real law firm that we're making fun of? I'm forgetting it right now. Can't pull that off the shelf.
Schweigengel.
Oh, HG Henchworth, or oh man, I'm not holding it. But
yeah.
JG Wentworth.
JG Wentworth. Jeez, like, man. That's how much ash I smoked. But he was just doing like he was making fun of it, and then like kind of in unison, the rest of the packaging team was like 877 hash now. And Corey Sanson, it just kind of emerged, and he got his brain around it and built out this idea. And Corey thinks of the funniest stuff, right? Like, that's why you're going to see him on our social media as much as like and he is so deeply, passionately in love with hash that, the voice just speaks directly to the family that we're serving. I'm always trying to expand that, but he just has a great way of coming across, for most folks and hits the things on the nose. And that campaign is great. That I was speaking to a different campaign there. Like pockets go out. There's going to be more stuff as it comes along. Our brand Safe Bet has some really, I want to talk about it so bad. Just wait and see. Like, and we also kind of want to make sure that we have a lot of levity amongst us. Like, you kind of have to laugh with some of these punches or you're just not going to make it. And some of the absurdities that happen in running a cannabis business. So we survive on that. And we want to share that. Like, we don't, like, with like social media, you have like this real opportunity to like show who you are to the consumer and personally like connect. And it's a real luxury if you use it right. It's a total danger if you use it wrong. And it feels good that we can use that channel to kind of just show the personality of the team, right? Like, and to invite people to understand that, like, we're working hard, man. We are, but like, we're not stiff, like like you could come in and hang. So,
enjoy what you do.
It's one of my favorite places and one of my favorite campaigns, because a lot of times social media, especially in the cannabis industry, but in any industry, a lot of times is just like, oh, let's show you this product. And it needs to be, we can only show it with certain people. We can only show it certain ways because it's a corporate product. It has to be represented exactly this way so that nobody can possibly have any opinion. Essentially, it just has to be kind of cardboard, no matter what you're trying to represent. And this is the antithesis of that. It's not offending anyone, or at least it shouldn't be, but it's also it's celebrating that weed, especially hash, and especially the high quality concentrates and the things that you guys put out, as much as there is medicinal value, you guys' target demographic is not the same person. You're not competing for shelf space with a FICO patch. You're not competing for shelf space with a suppository. You guys' target person is somebody that's going to have an experience, a vibe. It doesn't mean they can't have medicinal relief from it, but they're there for the show. They're there for the experience. They're listening to Grateful Dead and Led Zeppelin and watching The Wizard of Oz synced up because they heard about it, and that's what head change is. You heard about it when you were in middle school, and you're old enough to try it now. So let's fucking grip it and rip it,
Oh man, I'm glad you said the Grateful Dead. It's really important. I can't tell you how important that music is to me. And like, uh, I don't think we'd be doing any good talking about culture and cannabis without making sure like we kind of recognize sources here. And that's a major one. And they're like, it's such a profoundly beautiful thing to have so much infrastructure built into the culture through through that music, man. I listen to the Grateful Dead every morning. It's something that as I've gotten older, I've leaned in further, and it's just blessed my life. So, if anybody's like working through something, man, a walk in the park and just a live show of the Dead can really make some magic happen. So, I'm glad you said that. Like we certainly like bringing levity into how we express the the work that we do and like tell our story. There you rubbed up on something that's like really a challenging spot for me in the way I'm thinking, in the way like we've traditionally solved problems around like how we present product, how we show the product to the consumer. And obviously regulation holds us into certain constraints, and for very often very good reason, though sometimes like that that gets washed out when you have to make it literal, right? I mean, that's the lawmaking challenge, is how do you use the language to save and protect and not constrain and destroy. But with just like take like going on to like a website to buy cannabis, right? Like I grew up, and many people grew up at a time like if you're gonna go buy weed, you're gonna go sit in a parking lot like this for like, I thought you said you were gonna be here 45 minutes ago. And then, like you get in some guy's car, he gets in yours, and like he's got two bags if you're lucky, and then you get to pick, and you're gonna stick your nose in each one and look at them and be like, like do a bunch of stuff. Right. Like, like you're gonna interact with the product in so many cases. And like I remember most of my plugs, they would roll joints and be like, yeah, so try this one. And I did the same thing, like somebody's grown weed for longer than I should say on a podcast. Like there was a lot of ways you invited people to understand the quality of the product before they got to try it. And in traditional commerce spaces and have the blending of cannabis into them, some of the mechanisms we use to make choice don't really help with making cannabis choices. And it's the biggest problem for new consumers and consistent consumers, is like going into a dispensary, and the fear of a failed experience is tantamount to the way they're thinking. And they have precious little information to base their choice on. They get like a THC percentage, terpenes, but like, a lot of people have big struggle trying to understand there's just too many bouquets, and to make out of the flowers for anybody to really see the one that works for them, with great clarity. And then by the time you find that, then you don't get to necessarily always find it again. Um, and so instead we use thumbnails of products and things like that, and use mild descriptors where we can, but sometimes quite constrained by however the retail system is deploying information. And so we do our best to educate bud tenders and all these different like touch points, which we're trying to cover, but resources are always limited. So how do we tell the consumer the value of the product if they can't get that information from the product before they buy it? And some cases you got like deli style, you can open jars, smell them. That's rad. Some dispensaries will open up concentrate jars and let people smell them. I don't feel like I love either one of those. I understand their value, but like,
Yeah.
look at this beard. If I put my nose into a jar, little things, hair or whatever else, maybe, the last piece of food I ate, like, and you just touched on it, like these are medicinal products, like irrespective of the choice of the end user. Like I am one of these people that's so blessed that I don't have to use cannabis medicinally. Like I get to choose to use it because I enjoy it. I don't survive because I have it. And so I have to take into respect that though these consumers are coming to the product for different choices, the product is still the same and the value in the product is still the same. Um, there could be like little dials you could turn up for one against the other, but in most cases,
Well,
like the promise is the same.
even though even though our patient population has gone down, we're still talking about 100,000 patients in Missouri. As far as people that are still renewing licenses, people that are still getting their medical cards each year. And so even if you say a crazy number like 50% of all of those have no daily need for it, that's still 50,000 people. That's a lot of people to say,
Yeah,
we're
man.
not going to validate your experience. And I think that's one of the things that sometimes gets lost. And I love that kind of called me. I hope I didn't misrepresent whenever I said
No.
that, you're not competing for shelf space with those, but that doesn't mean that you guys aren't serving that for one of those 50,000 people that, needs a substantial amount
Yeah.
of terpenes and cannabinoids and THC and whatever it happens to, whatever format it happens to come in. That doesn't mean they can't also enjoy their experience at the same time. And you
Yeah.
guys creating high quality product that people enjoy doesn't negate the fact that some people are using it for a very important purpose. And even if there's only one person in the state that's using it for that purpose, to me that means that it's worth it, because we always need to, a lot of times in both regulation and in corporate culture, we look at the bottom line, or we look at the mass um so often that we forget that individuals matter, and that
Yeah.
something that can change someone's life, even if it only changes one life, that should be a metric by which we measure things as well. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop for just a second
Yep.
because that's a good break point. Tim had to jet, so I'm gonna let his upload go real quick, and then
let's play red light, green light. Only not the one you played as a kid. This one's very much for adults. Here we go. If you haven't tried Curio Wellness cannabis products, that's definitely a red light. But it's also a green light, because Green Light Dispensary Southeast is the new home of Curio. For the best flower and edibles in Missouri, ask for Curio by name at Green Light. You've got the green light. Go.
For use only by qualifying patients or consumers at least 21 years old. Individual results may vary.
I get lost sometimes in talking to you, because as I try and formulate a question, or as I try and formulate a thought, I have severe ADHD, and so my brain goes in three different directions. It goes, talk to him about who he is as a person, talk to him about his business philosophies, talk to him about obstacles in business, and then the thing that I always want to get to that really doesn't have anything related to do with my job other than just pure joy is the last part, which is always ask him something fucking dumb, like ask him something silly, because he's such a dynamic person that you're gonna get good content out of it. And so, full disclosure, we're running up to a hard stop here, so I'm going to end with I'm gonna dismiss the logical part of my brain, and I'm gonna embrace the fact that I grew up watching Animaniacs, and I'm gonna go with silly. And so we touched on the importance of the Grateful Dead and music in your life. And one of Tim's favorite questions all the time is, what are you listening to? We know you're listening to Grateful Dead, so I'm gonna adjust this to a head change specific question. Okay. You guys recently launched mini hash holes, and you guys are, in my opinion, and the I think the opinion of a lot of people in Missouri, kind of the kings of concentrates, if you will. Steve Harvey and Bernie Mac in the suits. You guys are the original kings of concentrates.
Oh man.
Shout out
Thank
to
you.
Cedric the Entertainer, a St. Louis guy.
That guy's cool.
What is your dream rotation? Whether it's a hash hole or you're the king of the Puffco. Give me 3 to 4 people that from any time in history, any walk of life, that you would sit down and you'd be like, these are the people that I would love to experience this with, whether it's their 1 millionth time or their first time.
Oh man, I'd probably give a different answer to this question any day of the week. There's so many cool people. Like I love people so much. And so like the names that are coming to my mind are really personal people to me. Like the sesh or the rotation, like this like cultural coming together around cannabis, represents a lot of really important things to me. And I think the right way to answer this question is to say that, like, as fascinated as I am, but like, oh man, to sit and rip with Isaac Newton, like that would be sick. There's so many smart people that I would love the opportunity to have a conversation with. And so I could make that list really long, but I met my wife trying to buy weed in a McDonald's drive-through. And I and this woman means a lot to me. When people compliment me, and like you just did, there's a backtrack in my thinking that's going, and it's like, man, anything you think is cool about me is probably because of how this amazing woman has influenced my life. And I love her with like the complete heart I have. And for the ritual and what I am looking for from my experiences seshing and smoking, like, it matters a lot to me that the experience of like mutual relaxation, contemplation, and consideration are with ones who you cherish giving that experience to. And the most satiating sessions I've ever had, I've just been smoking a joint with this perfect woman. And this human is indescribable, and like the value. And so that, like, as long as she's there, like, I'm stoked. Like, and but that answer, graces past the responsibility of shouting out some folks. So and there's like people in my life that matter a lot to me, and why that want to share that same kind of richness of emotion. I think if I have to kind of claw out on, like, who wouldn't want to smoke with the dead? Like, who wouldn't want to just to feel that harmony and that magic, even if it's for just a quick puff. I love intelligence, and I love seeing people express intelligence, and I get emotion. Like, I get like there's different kinds of crushes you can have on people. You can have like the crush that's just like, oh man, that person's really beautiful, and whew, it's a lot of beautiful information coming into my eyeballs. Man, I want to be around that more. And then there's like the crush that I get these intellectual crushes, and they're usually academics, because in academia you can just go full bore into the thing that you just love so much. And somebody who like appreciates specialization a lot and craftsmanship a lot. There's so many people when they get down into the tunnel, and they're the only ones who can see the cool thing they found. And and hearing like their voice narrate that. I love talking to scientists. I love talking to PhDs. They always are on something, and they care so much about it. And they care so much about sharing that understanding and kind of developing and moving us forward. So I'm stoked on them. Philosophers, like, man, like, what would it be like to smoke a joint with Nietzsche? That would be nuts. Just listen
probably a lot better than doing mushrooms with Nietzsche, though, right? Like that's how you get head fucked.
Man, yeah, just lose your sense of self against like the writer of Ubermensch. I like yeah, like there's like really beautiful minds, and why wouldn't you want to be involved in absorbing and in being influenced by them? I like they're I love art. If you get to know me, you'll know that. And there's so many artists with just such bizarre, nuanced minds out there. A lot of the reason I'm not making art and I'm in business is an artist named Julian Schnabel. And he's kind of one of these big ego artists from the 80s, kind of emerging in the same era as like Jeff Koons and kind of and Basquiat and some of these big names, and he was on an interview with Charlie Rose. And during the interview, like Julian Schnabel's made like a lot of like visual work and what have you, but he's also made films. And so Charlie was asking him a little bit about like, like, are you a filmmaker? Are you a painter? Are you an artist? Like, what are you? And Julian was just like, man, I make stuff. Like, I make things, dude. Like, why are you asking me to wrap it into a corral? Like, I don't want to say like I'm not going to make a piece of music. I'm not going to like, and like I don't have his answer in my head perfectly. I saw it back in, I think it was like the late 90s, early 2000s. I just saw that in it. And he just made the butterfly and a diving bell, or I can't remember the name of the film, but that blah blah blah. So it struck me really hard. Diving, yeah. It impacted me heavily because it was like, wait, I don't have to classify. I don't have to specialize. Like, and I have all the, you were talking about ADHD, like, like I have a lot of the same symptoms. My my doctor gave me a different diagnosis, but the I wanted to try everything. As a painter, I would get these ideas for songs, and I just remember being like, why is this idea coming into my head? I'm not a musician. I can't do anything with this idea. I can't go take this and make something. Like, why am I getting the idea for a song? I want an idea for a painting. And I had to kind of shake myself free of that and just be like, wait a second. No, man, like you just have to make stuff if that's what you feel like you need to do. Like, don't put yourself in a prison of somebody else's design. Like, this is this unfortunate circumstance of kind of like the way we like to classify ourselves and identify ourselves and the language we use to do that. Sometimes we really restrict the way we could be thinking. And thank you, psychedelics, for helping me understand that. So that was one of those crucial moments. And so like guys like that, like when you have like the opportunity to have like just one sentence change your entire worldview, like what a better thing to walk away from just the hash hole, than to have some moment like that. And so that's where my brain was going. I don't know. That's a long-winded answer. I don't know if I really gave it to you, but my wife is sick.
No, man, like that was exactly what I wanted out of asking that question, because we got so many different layers, and we got sensitive, we got like emotional depth, and like true core Peter with the first and most valid answer about your wife, and then we get the complexity of thought as we go through, and we kind of dissect like each piece of the rest of the puzzle. And that to me, man, is like this is the closest thing that most people outside of outside of people that will encounter you in person. This is the closest thing that people will get to having a conversation with you. And the beauty of the way that your mind works and the way that you present things to other people and the way that it's always with love and compassion and positivity, yet also based in pragmatism at the same time, is something that I just truly love and appreciate about interacting with you. And so I can only say thank you for taking time out of your day and sharing your thoughts with me and with Tim. And I can't wait to do this again. We're gonna do one that's a little more business and nitty gritty about details and stuff further down the line. This is gonna be the perfect episode for somebody to have some really deep introspective thought while they listen to you. And the only additional thing I can ever ask is that next time I see you, I would like to be part of that smoke rotation.
Bro, I need to get those mini hash rolls in your hands. Like, I know that was an offline conversation. I love that you love hash rolls. What a beautiful way to enjoy this plant. Those things are amazing. They smoke, the value point to the consumer. Like, it's like, to make a hash roll, sometimes you have to be like 50, 40, $60 to like make the cost economics work for all that. That's like that's so much money for like most folks. Like, I think if you take the 1% or the 1.3% out of like Missouri earners, and you look at the average earnings for Missouri, and it's like $40K a year. You know, like $50 experiences, single $50 experiences is a massive luxury for that kind of consumer. And so we're like, how do we give people access? How do we give people access to this great experience and then cut the price in half? And still like all the good things, but all the value too. And I think this mini hash roll, we're going to iterate on it. The newest drop is definitely worth hitting up. Tons of dispensaries have them. But we're doing small limited drops right now because, you know, cannabis has to be precious. Like, if you make a lot of it, that can be really helpful for people who need the value. But like really special plants, they need attention and love. They need like a lot of consideration. Like, there's this legacy market grower here in St. Louis, El Fuego, and this man loves his plants. And when you smoke this flower, like you feel it's different, man. Like I'm not trying to be like hooey wooey, but like it's different. And so we're trying so hard at Head Change and Curador at large to like take those experiences that we treasure and try to get them to the consumer through a dispensary. And that convenience of opportunity for them to be able to go to a dispensary and then have as many of the boxes they can checked for the value that they can afford. And to get all that right is so hard. And I care so much. We all at Curador care so much about that consumer. We know who they are. I remember delivering pizzas and getting a bag and being like, oh my God, this bag sucks. And I'm not going to get another $50 for 2 weeks to spend on weed with all the other stuff I've got to fucking do to stay my life up. And just the panic that can set in. I'm never going to forget that. And like at Curador, we don't stop. Like, all we have to do is look in the mirror. If we need to imagine that person, it's not like, oh, I wonder who they are and what they want. It's like, so yes, man, dude, I will get you some of those. We will smoke them. I'm down to talk anytime. I can't express enough appreciation on behalf of our team and the community we're trying to serve. Thank you for everything you and Greenway are doing. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. It means a lot to me. So thank you very much for this invitation. I'm happy to make myself available to you whenever, dude. Thank you.
You are one of my favorite people. You are one of the most genuine and best people that I've met in the space, and
Takes one to
all
know
the love
one.
and appreciation to you and your team, man.
Dude, thank you.
Thank you
They're the
so
shit.
much.
They're the shit. Thank you, dude. Have a beautiful day.
Flower Pot NYC is America's leading brand design and packaging agency for cannabis and emerging brands. They're cannabis consumers themselves, so they design packaging that doesn't just look beautiful, it protects and showcases the integrity of the product inside. Over the next 3 months, they're offering $1,000 off your first order, plus $1,000 if you refer a brand that becomes a client. They'll even beat your current packaging invoice by 5%. Or walk away. There's some conditions that apply. I'll let them handle that. Family run, good people, great product, Flower Pot NYC, grow with us.